Well, good morning everybody. It's 8 o'clock and we are outside the shelter. We've got some sunshine. I've taken some photographs. I showed you around the outside, I think, last night. Now the sun has risen. I loosened all the lines off, so the reason why it's not looking very good now is I basically loosened all the lines, raised the center pole, tightened them back up again. Obviously, in an ideal world, many pegs would need to be adjusted. If you move 1 centimeter somewhere on this, then to be honest, everything else pretty much needs readjusting. But we're only here a couple more hours. We're going to get going. So we're gonna have tea, breakfast, and slowly start to pack up and aim to be gone for 10 o'clock. We had a reasonable night, comfortable, but I didn't sleep very well last night. You just get those nights where your mind's churning and you just don't sleep so well. This is the river this morning, so it's a good flow on that river. If you wanted to cross there, you'd have a bit more of a job today than when we were here 2 days ago, before all that pretty much 24 hours of rain. And it wasn't really heavy rain either, it was more misty rain than anything. But it shows even misty rain can make these rivers flow. Anyway, even though the sun has, it's popped out and it's gone back in again, it has cooled off, so I'm going to duck back under the cover again. Well, the ford here, thankfully, isn't being used, and the local cow population has crossed over just over there and are marching up the path that way. They're going to go to Great Mist Tor. You're going to go to Great Mist Tor? Look at the little babies at the back. And then there's a few hangers-ongers at the back, so hopefully they go over that way as well. It's like 3 mums and 3 calves, 2 and 2 there, and then looks like 2 and 2 way back over there. They must have, that would have been me slow waking up. Right, well, it's 20 past 9 and we're off. That's probably even beat Sandy's world record, although to be fair, I did sleep better. I say with Sandy, but you know what I mean. I didn't sleep very well last night, and normally when I don't sleep very well, I normally eventually fall asleep and then struggle to get going. But last night or this morning, I never really fell asleep properly. I sort of think I just catnapped the way through. So I think at 7 o'clock I'd normally be so tired I would just sleep through until 8 and then start getting going, and then I'd probably be ready to go at 10. I kind of was half waking up at 7 and it's 20 past 9 now, so it's still taken upwards of a couple hours, 20 odd minutes, and I didn't really rush. I had breakfast, I think 3 teas rather than 2, and I had to go off and do another job this morning. Although if you watch my other video on jobbies in the rain, at least this time I was able to wipe up, as it were, out, in situ, as it were. Anyway, we are on our way. I'm not exactly sure how far we've got to walk today, and again, if you're just joining now and this is your first ever video, welcome. Check out all the previous parts. I'm not going to recap everything, but check the previous parts. But we've got about 15 kilometers to go to the car, and we've been out for 5 days. This is the 5th day. So anyway, this is the river. It's in quite a full flow. We're going to make our way along here. It looks a decent enough trail along here to follow, and it's about 1 kilometer to the next bridleway type of, you know, it's the next path which will take us inland a little bit. Well, it's pretty squelchy along here now. So famous last words from 2 days ago when I said I'd be up a bit higher. Mind you, there might be a path up there, but I kind of think this is the main I think this is kind of the main path along here, and it's squishy. I'm not really sure if there is one over there, but this is definitely a path, and it is definitely very squishy. I think the path to the left is somewhere up there. There's no obvious path from the other side to here, and we do have to be going up in this valley. Maybe the path is just over there by the cows, but I don't see the point in walking anymore through that long stuff. We may as well kind of walk up here and just head over that way, you know, marginally, because it's the crossing point where we need to go left is in this valley. I'll have another look at the map. You know, even on the phone, even though it shows a dotty line, you still have to be able to read and interpret contour lines just to give you a rough idea, you know, rather than just blindly follow a dotty line. If you can just look at the contour lines as well, even if you are just looking at your phone, then we know that the path we want, even if we can't see it very obviously. Maybe something over there, I don't know, but there's certainly nothing. Well, now we're over here, maybe there's something coming down the side of that hill over there, very faint. So there's probably something equally as faint going up this side over here. So let's get through this stuff here, which would have been the same as down there by the looks of it, but maybe marginally less boggy. Although I say that, it's still very wet, as expected, obviously, given it's literally rained for 24 hours. There may be a path of sorts just up through here. We're gonna go down this way, down into the valley, and that's Bagga Tor, that little bump down there. Tor. On the top of this hill here, right near us, there's a little rock that's Lynch Tor. I'm not going to bother going it. It's not very far. I'm not going to count it because it's not that close, but it is that close. You could get to it in a few minutes, but I am gonna carry on my journey back. That big bump there is Staton or something hill, but we're aiming for that Tor line on the horizon. So Hair Tor I think is the first one, and we'll go close to that or over it, and then you've got Sharp Tor is the one on the horizon at the back. So let's get over there. We will have to do a little bit of inland wandering down there just to get back on the moor up over there. All right, so over there, that's Lynch Tor, just up there. I don't know if that's a vehicle up there or what, you can't quite tell. Something that doesn't seem quite quite normal, but anyway, that's Lynch Tor over there. And that one over there, that's Great Mist Tor, where we were 2 days ago. It doesn't seem possible, does it? Where does the time go? And we're gonna head down this way. With that rather innocuous little bump just there, that's Bagga Tor. So we'll count that, because that's, you know, is literally just, I mean, I'm feeling too lazy, I can't be bothered to walk over to it, but I mean, it is literally just there. I mean, we'll count that because that's like route, or it's, you know, you could walk to it in about 1 minute, if that. So we'll count that one. That's Bagga Tor. It's just there. But really, just for time and convenience, I'm just gonna keep going. Just gonna press on. So that really big one on the horizon, right in the middle, that's Hair Tor. So we will definitely be crossing that one. But we've got to get to it first. And this bit down through here, I've always found, I haven't done this for ages. I did this several times with Bess for absolute sure, and I probably have done it with Lassie. I must have been around here in the last 10 years with Lassie, but it's certainly been a long time since I've walked up through here. Like I said, this is I think this is the Merivale range, and this is the one they tend to use the most. So, you know, even when the other two are open, particularly Oakhampton, the Oakhampton range, which is huge, and that's usually open. They don't close that one so much, because when they close the Oakhampton range, that's basically most of the North Dartmoor just closed off. So to be fair, they don't close that one so much. But this one round here, they seem to close off a lot for firing. So getting down here it's just more difficult, because, you know, the times when you're down here, chances are that it's closed off, or I'm just doing a lazy camp. But anyway, we now got to find our way, and as I say, it's always been a little bit tricky with these different lanes and things. I don't think it'd be that difficult, but we will just have to keep an eye on the mapping to make sure that we don't wander off. Well, coming out of Bagga Tor is this big stream thing actually in the path, and then all of these stones. Really not the easiest to walk on these stones. It's almost like a pebble beach. There's a few little trees in this little area. We had to limbo under that one. Basically I took the pack off and then just ducked under it with the pack off, and then we got another branch down over here. We're going to work around that one easily enough. So there's some very old woodland here. This bridge looks a bit wonky. Not exactly, it's sturdy, but it's not exactly straight. So anyone in the know, how long has that been a wonky bridge? Because my recollection of the last time I came along here, I don't ever remember that being wonky like that. So if anyone's in the know, then that will give a rough idea at least as to how long I've been here, and it's probably been like that for quite a while. So that's one small waterway coming along there. You've got one, obviously the bridge is crossing, and then one pretty big river here. Bagga Tor and Hair Tor are up there, but we're just going to walk around the bottom. This is along Tavy Cleave, and it's supposed to be quite a pretty little walk, and then we can get up to Hair Tor from here. Just be very careful. You wouldn't really want to drop into that. You probably would better climb out, but I don't think it would be particularly easy or fun. And that's probably for sure man-made, and probably the farmers and such like collecting up water for crops and things. Looks like there's even a weir and a little Dartmoor beach. Looks like that weir, when opened, would go through here, there, and then down there. Although what's down there, I'm not quite sure what you'd be wanting to fill up. Let's have a look at the map and see whether we need to stay this side. Okay, yeah, we say this side of it, walking along here for Tavy Cleave. It's quite a flow around here. At some point it does just disappear, so we should actually see where it originates. We've still got quite a big leat flowing here, and in fact it's even banked up there with stone, concrete, rubble, muck, earth, something. But this is the Tavy Cleave Valley. I'm not sure, I doubt you can really walk down there so easily. Probably very, very boggy and wet. But we got a nice view from here. So that's Bagga Tor, and then that one over there, that's Hair Tor. So the path will go around and then up to Hair Tor, and then from Hair Tor, Sharp Tor. There's a bridge there, so maybe we have to cross that bridge. Let's well, I think there's something else down here. It looks like this is the It looks like this is where the water gets funneled off. So it looks like a, I don't know, we can go through here. So it looks like a very big river. Whee! Okay, you'd have to be careful not to ooh, that's quite dangerous. You'd have to be careful of that. You can come round here, not really concentrating, and just step right into that. Yeah. I mean, I'm not one for health and safety, but that does look a bit dodgy to me. But obviously the water somehow, there's obviously a dam, a thing there, so they probably close that, and then quite a bit goes through there, and then they could probably open that and more goes that way, I guess. But then it's this huge river coming down here. but it looks like the main path goes up there. I don't know why, but that gives me the heebie-jeebies. That I find that very, very disconcerting. And it's a little bit of a climb up. Not much, quite fairly easy, but you do need to just be careful, and then you're up here. And of course now the rain has decided to come in. It looks like just that squall through there, so I don't think it's going to come to much. This is the very beautiful Tavy Cleave area. Never once been along here, so this has been a interesting little excursion. I think we go around there and then up that way somewhere should be a path up to Hair Tor. And I guess when the river is very high, it could quite likely come over those stones there, those rocks, and those there, and down that way. That would be a flow and a half. Still a little bit further to go. Now, you can't really see very well, but there's a lot of rocks and boulders and such like. I mean, they're not big, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're, you know, they're not huge, but there are quite a few steps and things like that. So if you do come this way, you know, just like like that, so you've got a big step down there. Like I said, it's not exactly much, but there are quite a few rocks and boulders that you kind of have to, you know, work your way around. If you're in a hurry, then definitely go over the top, but if you've got plenty of time, then obviously this is a good option. Certainly very beautiful. Just as I say, just be mindful of your steps, because it is very wet and boggy in places. It's muddy and slippery in places, and quite bouldery in places, so I would definitely recommend walking poles. I wouldn't want, personally, I'll admit I wouldn't want to do this without walking poles. Just a little bit of bouldering to get up there, through there, and then carry on through there. Not quite sure where we go up. We've got to find, there's a stream that goes up, so it might just be round that next corner. Right. Well, you can see the path down there, but I have to say, this isn't for the faint-hearted. It's I might maybe go around that way, I think, get down to that path. I don't think I'm going to get that way. Wow, this is very, very rocky. Very, very rocky. Oh, I'll be honest, I won't be doing this again in a hurry. This is quite challenging. There are more rocks there. You've got to somehow head over that way. Right, so this is the subsidiary river that we go up to get to Hair Tor. So we finally got through that Tavy Cleave thing, but I will admit, I'm glad I finished that one. That was quite tough. That was a lot tougher than I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be a fairly easy, you know, just a path of sorts, but that is not for the faint-hearted. I do not recommend that unless you are fairly reasonably steady on your feet. That was tough. That was really hard work. That was very that was challenge for me. I have to say, for many people that probably wouldn't really be much, but I have to admit, for me that was quite challenging. And I noticed that my right knee seems a little bit weaker. I wouldn't say it's giving out, it's not giving out, but I can feel that it hasn't got as much strength in it as the left knee. Although with arthritis in both knees, I think I'm feeling pretty knackered generally after that. So this is quite a tiring end of the trip, but I'll tell you one thing, I'm really glad I didn't do this yesterday in that awful weather. I mean, I probably wouldn't have even come around here in that weather, to be fair. I mean, I wouldn't have known what it was going to be like. But the reason for coming around here was because it's pretty. And to be honest, in that mist and rain, we wouldn't have seen anything anyway. So I probably wouldn't have done that in that weather, but it looks like the path goes up here. It definitely, on the map, goes away from, just feel when I'm pushing off on my, looks like it's going up there. When I push off on my right leg, the knee just doesn't seem to have quite as much strength in it now. I don't think this is trod very much around here. I don't know, I've lost the path, which is not really a surprise. I'm just going to go straight up there carefully. It's not that steep, just get up there carefully, and then hopefully we will have a bit flatter. I don't know where that path went, but I've gone in a straight line, and there's Hair Tor directly ahead of us, and that misty rain is in again. That's not forecast for today. Still, we're nearly there, and then Sharp Tor, and then down Brat Tor, and then down to the car. So far we've done nearly 12 kilometers, so we've done quite a bit already. Wow, it's pretty rough through here. Wet, rough. Oh God, I must admit I am rather knackered now. Let's get up to Hair Tor. We could have gone from the car park, Hair Tor up there in probably half an hour, and so much easier, but we wouldn't have had that fun. You know, we wouldn't have had that fun challenge and seeing something we hadn't seen before. Although I'll be quite happy not to see it again for quite a while. Anyway, we're getting close, but as you can see, the rain has come. I've got wet. If it clears with that breeze, I'll probably dry out quite quickly if I don't freeze of pneumonia first. Made it up here. There. Hair Tor and Sharp Tor. Just going to have a look around. I'll take the pack off, have a rest for a minute, and I'm going to have a look and see. I might just go, I don't know. There's Chat Tor over there, that one there, and you've got Great Links Tors over there where we started, and then there's Arms Tor over there, and then Brat Tor there. Okay, well we've had a few minutes break. I think what I'm going to do, I'm not going to bother going up Sharp Tor because we were up there literally a couple of weeks ago with, well, a few weeks ago with Sandy. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just skirt around it, so the distance is pretty much the same. I'm just not going to bother going up it. Just gonna save my knees and legs just a few meters, just go around it and then head for Brat Tor. I think that's the best thing to do. It's also easier getting down from here as well, from Sharp Tor. There's a few, it's not that, don't get me wrong, it's not exactly difficult, it's pretty darn easy. I'm just feeling very lazy now, but there's a few boulders and rocks and such like, so I'm quite happy to miss having to mess around with them. So I'm just going to go kind of down here, follow the grass, cross the river somewhere, and then there'll be a few boulders on the other side, but not much. Get up to Brat Tor and then head back. How are we doing on distance? So far we've done about 12 and a half, so it's going to be about, so I think by the time we get back it's going to be about 15. Well, Hair Tor, Sharp Tor and down probably would have been easier in the end than trying to get our way through this stuff and then up the other side. So sometimes a shortcut isn't necessarily the easiest of things. Anyway, it makes it interesting. as I say, it's something a little bit different. And you've got Bagga Tor just over there. So I think we'll get to the water and I'll grab some more water, I think, there. Oh, we've picked up a little path here. Ooh. Well, we kind of came down and then across. And pretty much opposite, oh, I was going to get water. Pretty much opposite there where we've camped a few times. Well, we're just heading up to Brat Tor, so we'll get up there and then we'll see what distance we've done once we get to that point there. And then that's the last point apart from the downhill walk to the car. We made it to Brat Tor. A little bit different to the weather that we saw when we were first here, and we couldn't see any of those Tors. So Arms Tor, Great Lynx Tor. I think that little bump there in the distance, that's Little Lynx Tor. On the horizon right the way through is Sour or Sorton Tor. And this behind me is Brat Tor, a rather special place here, sacred grounds. Anyway, so we've done 15 kilometers so far. It's probably about a kilometre back to the car, maybe a bit less. We call it a kilometre, so that's about 16. So in total we've done, the first day was 12, the second day was 30, the next day I think was 15, yesterday we didn't do anything, and then today's going to be about 16. So I'll probably put a grand total on the screen, but it's probably around about 73-ish kilometers that we've done in total over the last 5 whole days, with yesterday not doing anything. Could I do the whole thing from scratch tomorrow or the next day? Probably not. To be fair, probably not. That 30-kilometer day was that was a biggie. I think that it didn't finish me off, but it was certainly very tiring. Plus I got a couple of blisters at the end of that one, although thankfully they didn't prove to be a problem. One just kind of got better. The other one did get red, but it was never really painful, and I was able to rub Body Glide directly onto it, and it just never hurt, and it was never a problem. So kind of got lucky with that, because that could have been a problem. If that had really started to hurt, then I might have had to have changed plans completely a bit. Although where that actually started was pretty much the other corner of the moor, so even, you know, cutting the thing short wouldn't have been that easy, because it was still quite a long way away. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little series of our videos. I don't know how many we're going to get out of this. Obviously it's 5 days, so that's a minimum of 5 daily episodes, as it were. Some days were quite long, so quite likely I will break some of them up a little bit. I think I did at least one sub video if not 2, but definitely 1. I'm not sure if I did a second one or not. And to the new crew watching, because I definitely think there's at least 1 or 2 or 3 new people watching. You know, thanks very much for your, you know, for your support here. It's most welcome. Anyway, we're nearly down here. We just got to cross those stones, think about Lassie with the water, and then back home. See what the traffic is like. It's coming up to, well, it's 10 past 2. By the time I get to the car, I think realistically by the time I get to the car it's going to be 2:30. You still got to get all the way down here, and then it's that little walk back. So, you know, I think realistically it's going to be 2:30, and then I'll probably rest by the car for 10 minutes. But I should be driving by 2:45. So if the traffic is good, I'll be back home by 5. I'll go straight home. I've spoken to a mum and I've said I'll go over there tomorrow. They're quite close, but I think after this walk and the drive, I think I'll be ready to go home and freshen up and start recovering a bit, ready for whatever we do next time. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching, and a special thank you to the patrons and the members. I'll probably forget to keep mentioning that, but I'll try and mention it now and again. Thank you to you especially, but also I don't want to forget the people, because they're, you know, equally as important. If you have watched to the very end of this video, then as much as anyone else, you've helped the channel the most, as I always say. Thanks very much. I'll see you in the next video, everybody. Happy hiking, camping, and just happy general living out there. Well, we have mostly dried as well.